Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday, and welcome to the Astro Room, where we discuss everything astrology here on YouTube. Hopefully, this video or this live finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Mel, your new favorite astrologer, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So this channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So this is another edition of the weekly Astro forecast for the week of April 17th through April 23rd, 2023. All right, so it's a major week. We've got some major happenings this week. All right. It's a new week. We're about to enter a new season, and we have officially entered eclipse season for 2023. And of course, anytime we're talking about eclipses, things are about to get a little weird. They're about to get a little intense. And it's really just the universe's way of shifting things around in our lives to get us where we need to be. All right. So lots of energy shifts this week. You may be feeling it already. And then, not to mention that, we've also got Mercury going retrograde. So again, this is a major week. All right. Not the majorest week of 2023. We had a lot of that energy back in March. But the fact that we're starting eclipse season and we're beginning a new eclipse cycle. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but just suffice it to say that, you know, the lunar nodes, and if you have no idea what the lunar nodes are, check out my video that I did on the lunar nodes, and I'll leave the link to that in the description box below. But the North and the South node have been in Taurus and Scorpio, respectively, for a little over a year, okay, since the end of 2021. And they're getting ready to shift signs, all right? They're getting ready to shift and go into Aries and Libra, respectively, okay? And that's going down in July. However, the eclipse season that we are entering now is starting to shift to this new axis, okay? So we're sort of getting a sneak peek of what is going to be taking place in our lives between now and late 2025, all right? So it's an important week full of insights that can really help us understand where we're going, where we're at, what we need to change, all of that good stuff, all right? So suffice it to say, this is definitely an episode that you definitely want to tune into. All right. So as always, before we get into the nitty gritty, of course, housekeeping and some announcements. Don't think I have any announcements this week. However, I will say that if you are here with me in the live, thank you so much for joining. As always, I truly appreciate your presence. Feel free to say hello in the chat and definitely hit that like button on the way in. All right. And if you are catching this on the replay, thank you as well for tuning in. I hope that this recording, I should say, gives you the information that maybe you're looking for. Maybe it gives you some confirmation. Maybe it enlightens you to something that you didn't already know. All right. And so hopefully, if that is the case, I feel like I will have done my job. All right. And so if you feel inclined to hit that like button, go ahead and do so. Thank you. And if anyone feels inclined to support the channel, those links are going to be in the description box below. You can either buy me a coffee, hit me up in chat and CashApp, anything is always appreciated. All right. So thank you very much. All right. So let's see who we've got in the chat this evening. So far, we've got Philip Boone, we have Ramel, and we have Nay. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I truly appreciate your presence. All right. So let's talk, let's chat and see what we've got going on this week. Because again, it's going to be one of these weeks where it may feel emotionally tumultuous because of the way the astrology is set up. It's not only an eclipse, but we've got some emotional issues that are going to be coming up. So if you find that you feel like you're really going through it this week, or if there's a particular issue that you feel like you've been working on almost forever, depending on where all of this is going down in your chart, you may find that that issue comes back up again. Okay. However, the one thing I will say, universe, spirit, not only does it never give us more than we can handle, a lot of times spirit may reinforce things so that we really get the message. Okay. And sometimes we have some extra cleanup to do, which is why certain issues we may find that they keep resurfacing, right? And I say that sometimes spirit wants to emphasize certain things because if you've been paying attention, we're still in Aries season, although we are going to be going into Taurus season at the latter end of the week. But we started Aries season back in March. And at that time, we had an Aries new moon. The solar eclipse is happening technically still in Aries. So we have 2 new moons in Aries back to back over the span of a month. And I always find those to be interesting. And that's not an anomaly, right? Because of the orbit of the moon, and the moon cycle is 28 days. Every so often, we are going to get months where we get repeated new moons, okay? Or repeated full moons. But it's sort of the universe's way of really emphasizing something. Okay. So you're going to want to take a look at where Aries is in your chart. This is where the universe is really drawing your attention. This is where the universe is really calling you to focus. This is where your focus, your consciousness is being directed, because there's something important there right now. And the fact that we had a new moon there last month means that at that time, anything related to the house that Aries is in your chart, right? So let's say Aries is your 10th house. The 10th house covers career and public life. So at that time, that would have been a great time to set the intentions for anything career related, right? Now that we've got the eclipse in sort of that same spot, it's not even just about setting intentions, right? Because this is a solar eclipse going down at the new moon. So this would be a time for new beginnings. But it's really the universe now taking charge of the situation and putting its own stamp on it. Sort of the universe and spirit is stirring the pot, doing what needs to be done, perhaps with respect to those intentions that you set at that new moon, okay? And that's why a lot of people tend to think of eclipse energy as very erratic, dangerous even, because it's really spirit at work. You will find a lot of people, and I include myself in this group of people, that believe that eclipses is not necessarily the time for you to be doing rituals. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog. She's wilding out right now. But eclipses are really the times where you sort of let go, surrender, and let spirit take the wheel, right? And not necessarily because you are powerless against spirit, because some people say, the energy is too erratic. You might not be able to handle it. Like, I know people who are alchemists to the umpteenth degree, people who are shapeshifters, like people who can handle the energy. Like, don't get it twisted. But what I love about eclipses, and from my perspective, is that it's a time for you to let go, because in the creation process, we co-create with spirit. And that means we set the intention. We do what we need to do here in the 3D, and then we let spirit handle everything else. Because depending on what it is that we're trying to manifest, there may be mountains that need to be moved. There may be people that need to be convinced. There may be things that need to go away. There may be things that need to come into play, things that we have no idea, right? And so as much as we are in control, right, we are sort of little g. We got to leave room for big G to sort of handle things on our behalf. And I really feel like that is what eclipses do. Okay. So again, pay attention to or break out your natal chart and look to see where Aries is, right? Look to see what planets are in Aries. Look to see where Aries is in your chart, what house Aries covers. And this will let you know how this eclipse is going down, what you may be able to expect, etc. Okay. So lots going on. And then that same day, we've got the sun and the moon shifting into Taurus. So we're going to be starting a new season. Okay. So we're going to be saying bye to that Aries energy. Aries was the beginning of the zodiac. It was the new year, the new astrological new year. And now we're moving on to Taurus, where things are going to feel a lot more grounded, a lot more practical. And our consciousness is going to be directed towards things like finances, things like work, things like values, self-esteem. All right. So we're going from this hot and dynamic and bold energy to an energy that's a lot more subtle, a lot more stable, and a lot more practical. Okay. And then the cherry on top is that Mercury is going retrograde. in Taurus, which, is always Mercury retrograde right? You're going to have some people that freak out. You're going to have people say, "Oh my gosh, it's whatever." And as if you've been watching me for a while or listening to me for a while, you'll know that I say Mercury retrograde is not the cult phenomenon and the shit show that people make it out to be. In fact, if you're really tapped into the energy of Mercury retrograde, it is beautiful because it allows you a redo. It allows you to recalibrate. It allows you to rest and it allows you to reflect, right? And so during that retrograde period, yes, you're going to have things like your cell phone may be malfunctioning. Yes, you may have communication issues or you may be misunderstood. Or yes, you may have less than desirable people coming back into your life or maybe even desirable people coming back into your life, right? Those are the typical textbook Mercury retrograde happenings, right? But anytime a planet is retrograde, it's all about directing the energy inward, right? And Mercury is all about our thoughts and our communication. And what are thoughts? Thoughts are the precursor to things. So if you allow this time, this Mercury retrograde, to reflect, to remember, reminisce, all of the re's that go with retrograde, it allows you to recalibrate so that you can really fine tune what it is that you want. Or maybe do some spring cleaning in terms of your mental diet, right? Like you can use this energy for good, right? Just try to move past everyone freaking out and move past the frustrations that inevitably come with Mercury retrograde. But again, I feel like the energy is super beautiful. All right. And so apart from that, we have a couple of other transits this week. Nothing too crazy, but by and large, we're going to be feeling it this week with this eclipse. All right, so let's get into it. But before we do that, as always, if you are new to astrology, or even if you are not new to astrology, but you feel like you need a refresher, because astrology, it's a science. Regardless of what anyone says, it's a science. And so as such, it requires study because it's a lot of information. So what I did in an effort to help you out, I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which is basically the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to begin studying astrology, mainly the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects, all right? It's an 11-page PDF document that gives you a summary of all of these things so you can begin to commit them to memory, all right? And so if you're interested in getting this cheat sheet, the link to that will be in the description box below. And if you want even more, right, I did a video series on how to read your natal chart. It's a 5-part series that covers each of these 4 pillars in detail. All right. And if you're interested in that, that will always be linked in the description box below. So check out that series. It'll give you a great overview of the astrology basics, plus the information you need to start reading your natal chart. All right. So without further ado, let's jump right in, all right? So these are the highlights for the week. First, we've got what I like to call feeling bullish, all right? Because this is Taurus season. Taurus is all about the bull. And come Thursday, we will be entering Taurus season. So this means, like I said before, our consciousness, our focus is going to be directed towards practical matters, being grounded, material things, assets, our self-esteem, our self-worth, and the things that we value, okay? One thing about Taurus is that Taurus is very much about putting in the work, specifically building a foundation. And so this may be a time where you take the energy of Aries, right? Whatever your desire was, whatever intentions you set for this new astrological year, Taurus season is going to be when you put action to those desires and you start building the foundation upon which those desires can grow, okay? So Taurus is all about kind of really getting in there and getting into work and building a foundation. Next up, we have what I like to call slate wiped clean. And this is going to be the solar eclipse in Aries. Okay, so Aries, we already know it's the beginning. It's the beginning of the zodiac. It's the beginning of the astrological new year. And so a solar eclipse is when things get eclipsed into our lives. And so this is the universe's way of giving us a clean slate. It's the universe's way of starting over. Okay, super important. And so this may be a time it will be a time that could be quite emotional because Endings usually precede beginnings, and sometimes spirit needs to clear the way for this newness to come in. And so that's one of the ways I think that this eclipse may be a little emotionally charged, because it may require us to let some things go or make room for some new things in our lives. And then finally, we have what I like to call run that back, and that is our favorite Mercury retrograde. So it's going to be going retrograde in the sign of Taurus. So this allows us to revisit financial matters. It allows us to remember and recalibrate, to rest, to revisit self-worth and value issues. And it also allows us to redo certain things, especially when it comes to certain foundations that we've started building or that we've built in the past, financial plans. All of those things are going to be up for review with Mercury retrograde. All right. So definitely a lot, but nothing we can't handle. All right. Let's get into the week and see exactly what we've got. All right, so today on Monday, we've got the moon moving into Aries, and it's going to be making its way into Aries and getting ready for that solar eclipse, which is definitely a significant event. Then on Wednesday, we've got Saturn sextile the North Node. All right. That's going to be a good one as well, especially as we make our way to the eclipse. This particular transit, Saturn sextile the North Node, is going to allow us to start building that foundation. Remember, I said Taurus season is about building. It's about taking that desire from Aries season, that idea, that thing that we want to have, and building the foundation. We're going to get a helping hand with that with Saturn sextile North Node. Then Thursday, put a gold star next to Thursday, because this is the day where everything is popping off, right? We've got the sun moving into Taurus. We've got the solar eclipse in Aries. And we also have the sun going to be square to Pluto, okay? Very interesting day. Then on Friday, we've got our favorite Mercury going retrograde. And then Saturday, we have the moon moving out of Taurus and moving into Gemini. And then Sunday, we close out the week with Mercury sextile Mars, which should feel very familiar to you because we just had that transit about 2 weeks ago. Remember, Mercury is going retrograde. So it's almost like the transits leading up to Mercury retrograde are going to be repeated once Mercury goes retrograde. So a lot of the planets and points that Mercury was hitting on its way to retrograde, it's going to hit again. And again, this is the universe's way of emphasizing certain things. It's almost like the universe saying, if you didn't get it the first time, I'm giving you another opportunity to revisit this, to focus on this, to work on this. All right. So keep that in mind, especially right now. If you feel like certain issues are coming up, if certain themes or situations keep lingering or keep coming up, that is Spirit's way of getting you to pay attention and perhaps take action. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the week. And of course, we start with Monday. All right, so today we have the waning crescent moon in Aries, and you will see that at the bottom right-hand portion of the chart with the moon at 0 degrees Aries. All right, so whenever we are talking about the moon in Aries, we're talking about desire, specifically the emotion of desire, of wanting, of chasing, right? Aries wants to create in a very bold and dynamic way. And so when the moon is in Aries, that is where we derive our satisfaction from, by creating, typically creating something new, right? Creating something we haven't had before, something that we're super passionate about. Doing that makes us feel good. Sorry, if you see me keep touching my nose. So when I do these forecasts, this is information I've researched, obviously, information I know from studying, but I also channel certain messages. And anytime I'm channeling messages, my nose, it's like someone has a feather under it. So if you see me touching my nose, playing with my nose, I'm not gross. It's just that my nose is super itchy, okay? Hence why I sound the way that I do right now. All right, so we're motivated by a strong desire to start fresh. Okay, so Aries is first. It is the beginning. So we want a new beginning, and we want something that's very different than what we've already had. So now that the moon is in Aries, it means that it's starting sort of a new cycle, especially right now because we're at a new moon in Aries. So we've gone through the entire zodiac. The moon has gone through the entire zodiac. And through that time, we've had our emotions have been focused on different things in our lives. And by the time we get back to Aries, this may be a time where we're like, all right, I want something completely new. I want to start this. There's been this thing that I've wanted to do, and I really want to do it right now. Moon in Aries also lends itself to us being a little selfish because Aries is, concerned with the self. And so when it comes to specific desires you have, when it comes to specific things that you want, things that may not be in alignment with other people, they may not be what other people want. What you desire may not take into account other people. Doing those things, pursuing those things, chasing those things is what brings us emotional satisfaction when the moon is in Aries, okay? This is also being impulsive. This is feeling something and then just doing it. This is like jumping headfirst into whatever it is that you want to do, right? And there's a place for that. And that place is whenever the moon is in Aries, all right? Now we're in the waning crescent phase. So this is the time when the moon is losing light. It's becoming smaller in the sky because we're getting ready for that new moon in Aries. So this is the time where we are literally letting things go, and almost in a way that feels, I want to say, impulsive. It's like we're really getting ready for this new moon. So we're like, all right, getting rid of things sort of feverishly. Whatever we really don't need, we're like, just kick it to the curb, right? Especially because that Aries energy is so impulsive, which can be good because a lot of times when it comes to things that we've got, whether it's emotional baggage, whether it's actual clutter, anything like that, sometimes we're a little hesitant to let go because we're like, we deliberate too much, right? Whenever you're talking about Aries, there's really no deliberation. It's like you feel something and you take action. So if you feel like right now you're like, listen, I don't need this, I don't need this person, I don't need that, and you're ready to let go of them, there's a place for that. And that place is when the moon is in Aries, particularly in the waning crescent. So do that, especially because with this new moon solar eclipse in Aries getting ready to happen on Thursday, this is the time when you're going to want to leave room, right? Whether you decide to leave room or not, Spirit is going to create that room to eclipse in whatever is necessary right now. Okay. So one of the things I say when it comes to eclipse energy is just allow. So right now when the moon is in Aries, do that cleanup. If your spirit, if your passions are speaking to you and saying, listen, I want to do this, I want to have that, I don't want this, I don't want that, you can be very decisive. You can really, again, it's Aries energy is not about deliberation. It's really about listening to almost your animal instincts and moving in accordance and in alignment with that. So while the moon is in Aries, do that. It'll definitely serve you well. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so next up, we've got Wednesday. And so on Wednesday, we have that transit that I was talking about before that I think is going to be super helpful to us. And that is Saturn sextile the North Node. So you will see Saturn at 4 degrees Pisces, and you will see the North Node at 4 degrees Taurus, okay? So whenever we're talking about Saturn typically gets a bad reputation because Saturn can be very harsh. It is the planet of delays, obstacles, challenges. It's the school of hard knocks. That's what I like to call it. It's harsh life lessons that help build character. That's the essence of Saturn energy. But the flip side of that is that Saturn helps us solidify things. Saturn gives us structure. Saturn allows us to build a system that will ultimately lead to success. All right. So whenever you have Saturn in transit, whenever you have Saturn in aspect to other planets, it lends itself to the energy of stability and security. Okay. And if we're talking about the North Node, particularly with the North Node in Taurus, this particular transit is really great for solidifying whatever you are visualizing, okay? Because Saturn is currently in Pisces. So Saturn in Pisces is allowing us to literally manifest the things that we want. And the fact that the North Node is still currently in Taurus means that we are able to, remember I said before, Taurus energy is about putting in that work and building that foundation. It is really sort of the beginning steps of the things that we want to manifest becoming real. Okay, that is the essence of this particular transit. Now, it's not to say that this transit is going to be, it's not going to be bad, right? Because whenever you're talking about Saturn, there's always this sort of negative connotation to it. It just means that this is a time for you to be very disciplined. If you are willing to put in the work, if you're willing to commit, if you are willing to be consistent and disciplined in putting in the work when it comes to your manifestations, it's like the universe is going to give you a helping hand, all right? And it's going to allow you to set things up for longevity, for success in the long run. So it's like we are at the beginning phase of things taking shape in our lives. It's not to say that, and we're not all at the same starting line, right? Some of us are a little ahead, some of us are a little behind. However, this is the time when you're going to start to see almost like breadcrumbs of your manifestation coming to fruition. It's not going to be we're not at the pot of the end of the rainbow yet, but we're starting to see the rainbow appear. I meant to say the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but we're starting to see the rainbow appear. Okay. And this should hopefully give you a sense of confidence, right? Because one of the things that invariably happens when we're manifesting is that a lot of times self-doubt can creep in, especially because, like I said, we co-create with spirit. We're little g co-creating with big G, right? And when big G is working, we can't always see what's going on. So a lot of times self-doubt will creep in. Like, is this even going to happen? I don't know. I feel like I've been manifesting this forever. This is an important time right now because the way that the astrology is set up, we're going to start to see glimpses of these things. And I don't know about you, but I know that I've already started to see things. My dreams have been crazy vivid, and I feel like I'm starting to see breadcrumbs of things, right? And it does give me a certain sense of satisfaction and confidence knowing that, like I like to say, if you have the desire is like the trailer. That means that the movie has already been created. So I'm seeing evidence of things that I know already exist, that are already mine, that I already have, okay? And again, if you really take the time to examine what's going on in your life right now and also feel appreciation for where you are, whether you like where you are or not, you're going to start to see these things. You're going to start to feel these things, and it's going to give you the confidence and the motivation to keep going with respect to the things that you want to manifest. So I feel like it is very important time, right? So again, you're going to want to examine what's going on in your life and appreciate where you are. Some of these breadcrumbs may be kind of difficult to see, especially if you're focusing on the end result. If you're so tied to the end result that you're just like bypassing what's going on in front of you, it may also be hard to stay motivated with respect to what it is that you're trying to achieve, because until you get to the end, you feel like nothing in the middle matters. And I don't necessarily think that's the best way to approach it, because having gratitude for even the smallest breadcrumb, I feel, again, it motivates you. It gives you that confidence to keep going with respect to the things that you want to manifest. So again, I feel like Saturn sextile North Node is going to be a great transit for us to practice gratitude, practice appreciation, and really see how far we've come. All right. So use it for that purpose. And I feel like you'll definitely, again, feel motivated and confident to keep going. All right. And speaking of keeping going, let's keep it moving. All right, so Thursday, like I said before, this is the gold star day of the week because this is the day where everything seems to pop off and go down. All right, so first off, we have the sun moving into Taurus. We've got the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. And then we have the sun. The sun is going to be square to Pluto. All right, so the way that the chart is set up, I wasn't able to capture the new moon eclipse in Aries and the sun and moon moving into Taurus. All right. So just know that same day, both the sun and the moon are going to move into Taurus. And the sun is also going to be square to Pluto. All right, so let's get into it. So first off, let's talk about the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. All right, so this is going down at 12:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is going down at 29 degrees Aries, which is known as the anaretic degree. This is one of the critical degrees of astrology. Anytime you have a planet or a point at 29 degrees, it's very much a point of power. It's a degree of power because it's when the energy of that planet reaches a fever pitch. It's like the last squeeze of the orange, all right? It's intense. You're putting in a lot of pressure to get the last bit of juice out of that orange, right? So it's intense, to say the least. And the fact that we have an eclipse going down to 29 degrees should already let you know that it's going to be quite an event, all right? So one of the most important factors of this eclipse is the fact that it's happening in Aries. And like I said before, this signifies the changing of the North and South nodes. Now, the North and South node are actually not going to change signs until July, but this is like a sneak peek of what is to come. All right. So currently the nodes are in Taurus and Scorpio. And the Taurus and Scorpio axis has a lot to do with value. It has a lot to do with money. It has a lot to do with finances. It has a lot to do with materiality. It has a lot to do with depth. You know, think of the characteristics of Taurus and Scorpio. Not even just think of them. I want you to look at your natal chart and see where Taurus and Scorpio are. These are where the eclipses have been happening since the end of 2021. So these are the areas of life that have been affected in a major sort of way since 2021. Okay. So now I want you to take a look at where Aries and Libra are. This is what's coming up next. These are the areas of life where we're going to have tag team eclipses and where things in our lives are going to be shifted and moved around. Okay. And so again, this eclipse is the first of this series. Okay. So everything about Aries is about starting. And that's why I said in the highlights that this eclipse is really like a fresh start because it is like the universe wiping the slate clean. It is the universe clearing off the table and eclipsing in all the things to have this brand new start, right? And this is also in alignment with your highest good, with your desires, all of that stuff. It's not like the universe is just going to dump shit on your table that you don't want, unless that's what you've been focusing on. All right. But that's another topic for another day. However, this is going to have a lot to do with relationships. It's going to have a lot to do with ourselves and with relationships because when we're talking about Aries, Aries is all about the self. When you talk about Libra, it's all about relationships. And we all know that relationships are just a reflection of ourselves. So depending on where it is in your chart, those are the type of relationships that we're talking about. So let's say Aries is your first house, Libra is your seventh. We're talking about yourself and your committed partnerships. If we're talking about, hold on a second. Excuse me. Let's say that Aries is your fourth house, Libra is your 10th house. These are your relationships with your family and with the public at large or with your employees or coworkers. Okay. If we're talking about Aries being your fifth house, Libra being your 11th house, or vice versa. This has a lot to do with you as an individual and your friends and associations. So it's not to say that just because I say relationships, I'm talking about romantic relationships. This could be any sort of relationship. But these eclipses going down in Aries and Libra is going to effect change to relationships in general in our lives, okay? So like I said, it has a lot to do with partnerships. It is, has a lot to do with intuition because the 29th degree, now we're going to go into numerology for a little bit. The 29th degree boils down to the number 2, and 2 is all about partnerships. It's also about choices needed to be made. And I feel like the issue or the theme of choice is something very inherent in Aries and Libra energy because Aries is all about the self, right? Libra is all about relationships. A lot of the choices that we make with respect to ourselves not only affect our relationships, but are reflected back to us via our relationships. So the idea of choice, whether I choose me or whether I choose the other person or whether I choose we, these are themes that are going to be popping off with these eclipses between now and 2025. Okay. So let's see what else we have here. Cooperation is going to be a big thing. Intuition, influence, making choices, all of these things are going to be are going to be issues that are going to come up with the solar eclipse in Aries. Okay. Now, one of the things I always research when I am doing these lives is whenever we have a full moon, a new moon, or any of the eclipses, I look up what's called the Sabian symbols. And basically the Sabian symbols give a story or an archetype to each degree of the zodiac. So the 29th degree of Aries is a duck pond and its young brood. So this lets me know that this particular eclipse may have a lot to do with family. Now, it may not even take that in the broad sense, right? Because this all depends on where this is going down in your chart. This could be your immediate family. This could be people that feel like family. This could be a partner's family. It could be a friend's family. It could be a co-worker's family. Like, it's very broad how this could play out, right? But there's going to be an underlying energy of family, of caring for family, of rearing family, of nurturing family, all right? Or feeling enriched by family. You know, I just said people that feel like family could come up at this eclipse, right? It's this emotion of belonging. It's this emotion of cooperation. It's this emotion of partnership, okay? And so I feel like a lot of this may have to do with family. So keep that in mind with this particular eclipse. Okay. Now, in terms of the astrology with respect to the eclipse, it's in a very interesting place. This new moon is happening in between the North Node in Taurus and Jupiter conjunct Chiron in Aries. And basically what this means is that, number one, there's going to be a lot of faded energy. Now, that's just a given because we're talking about spirit. Spirit is moving things around during an eclipse. A lot of this has to do with fate, destiny, the universe at work, all of that stuff. Now, because the North Node is currently in Taurus, it's almost like the universe is going to eclipse in the tangible things you need to get to where you need to go. That could literally be a car. It could be a paintbrush. It could be a telephone number. It's something tangible that you may need. It could be money, right? Anything that's tangible that you can touch, that you can feel, that you may need in your life. It also may be a relationship. It may be advice. Anything that is necessary, a necessary resource for you to get from point A to point B is going to probably be eclipsed in during this eclipse. So pay attention to what happens around you, what you are given, what you are offered, what presents itself. These are going to be things that you likely need to get from point A to point B. All right. And then with the new moon conjunct Jupiter and Chiron, sorry, like I explained, my nose is like on fire right now. With the new moon conjunct Jupiter and Chiron, this is going to give an emotional undertone to this eclipse because Chiron is all about our insecurities, our emotional wounds and traumas. I talked about this at length in my live with Rob Blackstorm last night, so I'm going to leave the link to that in the description box below so you can hear everything that we discussed about this particular eclipse. But suffice it to say, if you are able to battle your emotional wounds, if you are able to battle your emotional traumas, I mean, really go through them and conquer them, that is where your abundance lies. That is when the universe is going to step in and give you what you need, really clear that table and bring you everything that you need, not only to get from point A to point B, but to help you manifest the things that you want. So this is why I feel like this eclipse is going to be super emotional, because I feel like it's going to bring up things and issues that are hard, that, especially if we're talking about relationships, this could be things like abandonment, codependency, all of those things that we don't like to talk about, things that we don't like to deal with. But if you are able to deal with them and conquer them, right? Because we're talking about Aries energy. Aries is the warrior. You conquer them. This isn't just processing. This is about really killing that shit. It's really about putting an end to these things or healing in a very sort of, when I say aggressive, I don't mean treating yourself aggressively, but attacking these issues aggressively to heal them, to eradicate them. This is where you're going to see your abundance start to come through. It's going to start breadcrumbing, like I said before. All right. So super important energy. And that same day, we've got the Sun square Pluto. Okay. So this is going to bring issues of control. And you may really feel out of control, right? Because we're talking about an eclipse. Eclipse, again, is the universe's way of shifting things in our lives. So this may have your biggest fears coming to the surface. You may feel like life is taking you in a direction that you didn't anticipate. You may feel like issues related to death, issues related to control, to powerlessness. All of those things are going to come to the forefront, which again adds this intensity to this eclipse. I'm not going to say it's going to be. For some, it will be, especially if you haven't really embarked on your spiritual journey that long. If you haven't been doing the work, it may feel like a living hell. It may feel like you're being dragged through the underworld. I'm not even going to lie to you. But if you've been doing the work, this may feel like kind of some of the other stuff you've been feeling in the past, right? But it's going to add a level of intensity. But, and here's a big but and a very important but, it's all about transformation. Remember I said before, this is the solar eclipse in Aries. It's all about starting new. But what precedes newness? Endings. This is where this Sun square Pluto energy comes in. You are going to probably experience an ego death of some sort. Whether it's catastrophic, maybe I'm being a little too dramatic, maybe it's very intense, or maybe not so intense. There will be some sort of an ego death with this. And that's super important because there's parts of your ego that aren't going to serve you in this new era. Because that's really what this is. A solar eclipse in Aries, this is a new era that we are embarking on a very personal level. Okay. So whatever is dying, whatever is leaving, whatever is throwing itself in the trash, whatever is ending, let it. If there's one thing I want you to take from this message about the solar eclipse, it is the word allow. Allow whatever is going to happen. And it's not necessarily the time at the eclipse to be taking action, because imagine being in the eye of a storm. Sometimes you got to get right to the eye and stand still and wait for that storm to pass. Once the dust settles, then you take action. Once the dust settles and you see the lay of the land, that's when you take action. But for now, just allow, okay? That's the most important thing. And then, what else do we have? Oh, yeah. And then later that day, we have the sun moving into Taurus. And so all of that Aries energy is going to dissipate, and it's going to be transmuted into that Taurus energy, which is taking what we desire, taking all of that Aries energy and putting it to work, setting the foundation. So again, this is when things kind of calm down and get a little mundane. I feel like Aries season, you know how spring feels, right? Spring feels like spring. It feels new. It feels fresh, right? This is when we have these ideas. We want to do this. We want to do that. It's the start of the new year, right? Now that we get into Taurus season, things are going to settle down a bit and we're going to get a little more practical. And this is the time that we get to work. So this is about building foundations, focusing on things like finances, assets, things in life that we value. This is also a great time to work on things like your self-esteem, your self-concept, your self-worth. All of those things thrive during Taurus season. It's when plants take root. Okay, this is when we literally plant the seeds that we want to see come to fruition. So it's all about getting to work. You may be at a point where your soil is good enough to start planting. So you can literally start planting. For others, Taurus season may be a time where you've got to pull out those weeds first. Or maybe you need to turn over the soil. But regardless of whatever stage you're at, there's definitely work to be done. So getting to work is going to benefit you immensely. Okay. So Taurus season also can find us a bit stuck in our ways, right? Because Taurus is symbolized by the bull, and you can't move a bull for anything, right? So this may be a time when you find that you are stuck in your mindset. You may be stuck on thinking about a particular thing, especially because Mercury is in Taurus, and Mercury is going to be going retrograde in Taurus. This is when we can be a little possessive. We can be a little stubborn. This may be a time where we are overly focused on things like finances and stuff to the detriment of other areas in our lives. Okay, so you're going to want to be mindful of that. But one of the things I love about Taurus energy is not only the work ethic aspect of it, but the fact that Taurus energy can be very determined and security minded. That is what you need to build a foundation. And I'll also say that you're going to want to add a sprinkle of commitment in there too, because we're at the beginning stages of building the foundation. There's still quite a ways to go. And you're not only just going to need just determination, you're going to need discipline and commitment to see this through. Okay. So Taurus season is not necessarily as exciting as Aries, but it is necessary. All right. Every season is necessary. And then we're also going to have the moon moving into Taurus on Thursday as well. But we're still going to be feeling that eclipse energy. So I feel like that eclipse in Aries is almost going to overshadow when the moon moves into Taurus. All right. But regardless, whenever the moon is in Taurus, it is a time to relax. It's a time to get comfortable. It's a time to stop and smell the roses. So you may find that end of the week, or maybe even now leading into the end of the week, emotionally charged and maybe a lot going on. You may have something sudden happen in your life. Definitely take the time to rest, especially towards the end of the week, especially when the moon is in Taurus. Perfect time to rest. And also, you may find that your dreams are extremely vivid, especially around the eclipse. I know that around any eclipse, my dreams are like a movie and I can see them so clearly. So you're going to want to prioritize sleep. You're going to want to prioritize rest, okay? And keep a dream journal, or keep just, even if it's a piece of paper and a pen by your bed, so that you can record these dreams, because I feel like spirit really be talking during these times. So you'll definitely want to record that. All right. And so that is Thursday. Let's keep it moving. All right. Friday, we've got our favorite, Mercury retrograde. Mercury is going to be going retrograde in Taurus, as you'll see. So we currently have a stellium in Taurus. We've got the Sun, North Node, although the North Node wouldn't count for the stellium. We've got Mercury, we've got the Moon, and we've got Uranus. So definitely have a plethora of Taurus energy at this time. So take a look at where Taurus is in your chart. That's probably, that area of life is going to be very emphasized at this time. All right. Mercury retrograde in Taurus. I pretty much touched on this before. There's not much else to say. Revisiting past things, especially when it comes to finances, values, foundations we've built in the past. Thinking of things like self-worth, self-esteem, values, anything that we value in life. We have a chance to not only revisit these things, but recalibrate, replan, redo. This is the time to look over your 401k. This is the time for you to look over contracts, especially if they have to do with work. This is the time to just get your finances in order. It's a very good time for that, okay? It's also a time to build up your self-concept, the way that you believe about yourself, the thoughts that you think about yourself. Mercury retrograde is really going to have you examining those things, all right? As long as you don't get distracted by everything that's going on in the outside. Because remember I said retrograde planets are really about taking the energy and directing it inward. So this is a time for reflection. And Mercury isn't retrograde for too long. Mercury is retrograde typically for about 3 weeks. So during that time, this may be a time where you want to sort of withdraw a bit. You want to talk less, listen more. Talk less, reflect more. Sit with your thoughts, meditate more. I definitely feel like during this time, issues related to self-esteem and self-worth will definitely come up, and it'll allow you to really work through these in a very profound sort of way. So definitely during these next 3 weeks, take the time to sit with yourself, sit with your issues, and process them. You will most definitely be better for it. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. And then on Saturday, we've got the moon moving into Gemini. All right. And so you'll see that at the bottom left-hand portion of the chart, the moon will be at 0 degrees Gemini on Saturday. All right. So we've gotten over the solar eclipse in Aries. The moon has moved into Taurus, and now the moon is in Gemini. Okay. And so now we're at the waxing crescent phase. So remember I said, you're going to want to rest, especially while the moon is in Taurus. So Thursday into Friday, you're definitely just going to want to take it easy, like real talk. Because by the time the moon gets into Gemini on Saturday, your mind may be really back online. This is going to be a time when you may have a lot of ideas. This may be a time when communication ramps up. We want to communicate. We want to learn new things. We want to talk to people. Okay. So it's going to be a time for sort of reaching out to people, external activity, getting out there, socializing, all of that stuff. So you're going to want to have energy to do that. And especially with the eclipse going down on Thursday, I feel like people may feel like, wiped out, kind of tired, mentally exhausted. But if you take that time to rest, power down, by the time the weekend comes, you might be back at it, right? You may be back out talking to people, doing all the normal things that you do, but it's a great time to learn new things. It's a great time to get stuff done, especially when it comes to paperwork, emails, text messages, all that kind of stuff, all right? And because we are coming off the heels of that solar eclipse, it's still going to have that newness energy to it because the moon is going to be in the waxing crescent phase. So it's really going to be about taking steps forward, thinking of a master plan, talking to people who can perhaps help move you in the right direction. Okay. So I feel like Saturday may feel like a busybody kind of day, busybody kind of energy. You may find that you are doing more chores, you're talking to more people, just more activity in general. All right. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. All right. And let's keep it moving. All right. And then we close out the week on Sunday with Mercury sextile Mars. All right. So Mercury will be retrograde in Taurus and you will see Mars in Cancer. All right. So we literally just had this transit a little less than 2 weeks ago. Remember what I said before, because Mercury is going retrograde, it's going to go back over and touch all of those planets that it just touched on its way in, right? And so basically, this is going to speed up your mind and reflexes. Now, just said on Saturday, the moon is going into Gemini. So this is that busybody kind of energy, lots of activity, lots of ideas. Mercury sextile Mars, like take that and like turn the volume up to 10. Lots of ideas, feeling very driven, motivated. I get the sense that it's almost going to make you feel like you have a breath of fresh air, a new lease on life, especially after this eclipse. So whatever happens at the eclipse, I feel like it's going to make you feel extra motivated, extra amped, extra excited even to get going, to put action to whatever you've been shown, whatever you've been told, whatever's been eclipsed into your life, okay? Like I feel like it's going to be a time when you're going to really feel like doing. Now, because Mercury is going to be retrograde, this could have a lot to do with something you've already done before. You may be revisiting something. You may be breathing new life into something that already exists or something you've already worked on. So I feel like we end the week on a very high note. We end the week with a lot of energy, with a lot of motivation and drive to achieve things. And with that being on the heels of the solar eclipse in Aries, I feel like it's really going to have us feeling like we've got a new lease on life, like we really have a clean slate and that we can really manifest the things that we want. So again, I feel like this is going to be a super important week for us. And I feel like it's just the beginning of what is to come. All right. So now let's get into some messages from spirits. I'm going to pull cards for each sign. And as I always say, I do these by sign, but whatever message resonates with you, take it. Whether it's your sun, moon, rising, north node, Venus, Mars, it doesn't even matter. Whatever resonates with you is for you. All right. So, of course, we start off at the beginning with Aries. Let's see what we got for Aries for this week. Go. All right, Aries, we got the King of Cups. So I feel like there's a King of Cups character that's going to be very important this week. This could be someone who is intuitive, someone who is sensitive, someone who is in charge of their emotions. However, I also feel that for some of you, this means that you are going to be in a position of mastering your emotions this week. So especially if you are an Aries rising or an Aries sun, this eclipse is going down in your sign. And I feel like whatever happens, whatever is thrown your way, you're going to be able to handle it masterfully, especially when we're talking about emotions. I feel like you guys are going to be calm, cool, and collective and very intuitive, more so than you usually are. And I feel like it's also going to be a time where you really have to tap into your intuition. But I feel like whatever comes your way, you're going to be able to ride that wave very expertly. Okay. Listen to your intuition. It's going to make the process a lot easier. Okay. Next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus. All right, Taurus, we've got the Three of Swords. So this week, issues related to emotions related to relationship issues, I don't know why I said it like that, are going to be coming up. For some of you, I said issues like codependency, abandonment, things like that. Any sort of insecurities you've had to deal with respect to relationships may be coming up this week for you. And Spirit is letting you know, observe them, don't wallow in them. They're not coming up to hurt you again. They're coming up to show you where you need to do a little more work or where you need to release, right? For some, you may need to take out all of these swords. This may be a time where you finally get rid of these negative thoughts that are still keeping you heartbroken or hurt, okay? It may be a very tough week emotionally, but if you're able to do that, remember I said when I was talking earlier, if you are able to conquer your old story, conquer your insecurities, all of those things, that is where your abundance lies. And for you, Taurus, I feel like when it comes to relationships, when it comes to people who have broken your heart, if you're able to do that, your heart will be mended. And I feel like it's going to lead you on an excellent path for finding someone, reconnecting with someone who can have you feeling good again. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Next card out is for Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for this week. All right, Gemini, we've got the Five of Wands. So there is a lot of conflict. There's a lot of competition in your midst. For some of you, I get like this is in your immediate vicinity. I feel like you may feel like you're in competition with certain people or you're vying for a particular spot. For others, I feel like this is how you feel on the inside. I'm hearing mental anguish. I'm hearing like beating yourself up. There's almost this feeling of regret, that sort of like a battle within you. It's almost like you want to move forward with something, but you feel like the past is kind of holding you hostage. You're regretting certain things and you're battling within yourself between moving forward or staying stuck with where you're at. And Spirit is like, you're going to have to put up a fight for this. Like, this is going to be work for you this week. However, like I said before, and like I said for Taurus, if you are able to conquer this, this is where your abundance lies. All right. So I feel like you and Taurus definitely have some work to do this week, some issues to battle, whether it's with other people or with yourselves. But I feel like, again, if you're able to conquer these, you will find that, you're able to manifest things and you're able to move past it successfully. All right. Next up, we've got Cancer. Let's see what we have for Cancer. All right, Cancer, we've got the Queen of Pentacles. I feel like this is you this week. Queen of Pentacles is very nurturing, and that's right up your alley. There's something very motherly about this. Now, I feel like when it comes to this mothering and nurturing energy, I feel like it's directed towards something financial. So it could be a job, it could be an investment. I see you just really taking care of it this week. This could be, I'm also hearing like taking care of a bill, paying a bill down. It's like something about your financial situation is being nurtured, it's being taken care of this week. And you're doing it in a very kind and loving way. And that's important because you know how life is all about perception, and it's all about the intention that we infuse into things. Whenever you have bills coming up, right? And this is a general message for everyone, I'm being told right now. Whenever you have bills that need to be paid, if your intention is, damn, I hate paying bills, oh my gosh, I have no money, blah, 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 it doesn't necessarily contribute anything positive to your overall financial situation. However, if you infuse positivity, if you infuse, if instead of saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to pay this bill, if you're like, wow, I'm thankful that I have the money to pay this bill, or I'm paying down this debt and in such and such time I'll be debt free. That's very different than infusing negativity and despair into the situation, right? I hope I'm making sense. And I feel like for you, Cancer, you are infusing a lot of positivity into your financial situation. You're nurturing your financial situation, which could only bring positive dividends in the future. So keep doing what you're doing in terms of finance, business, or even career. I see that it's definitely going to pay off in the future. All right. Next up, we've got Leo. Let's see what we have for Leo. Leo, I feel like you guys may have your head in the clouds about something. You've also got the World card. Like you are on cloud 9 because I feel like you've just completed something, or this week is going to signify the completion of a cycle, and you are feeling so good about it. Like whatever this thing is, it's been a long time coming. And I feel like for most of the journey throughout this thing, it hasn't really felt the best. And I feel like now you're finally seeing the bigger picture. You're finally understanding why things had to transpire in a certain way, why this person had to say this, why this had to be done. And it's making sense. And you're finally at the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And so you're feeling really good. You're feeling over the moon. You're feeling overjoyed. And Spirit just wants you to know that you've done a really good job. It's time for a level up, and it's time to celebrate. And congratulations is definitely in order for you at this time. All right. So congratulations. All right. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we've got for Virgo. All right, Virgo, you've got 2. You've got the Star and you've got the 10 of Pentacles. I love this because there is an aspiration, a dream having to do with money that I feel like is coming to fruition at this time. You've done all that you can do. And I feel like it may almost feel like a surprise to you. Like, oh my gosh, how was this able to come about? And I feel like it's your ancestors, it's your spirit team that is putting in that final bit of energy to bring this to fruition, to bring you over the finish line. So an aspiration having to do with money, having to do with a job, with a career, or whatever, I feel like it's finally coming to fruition. And so for you, congratulations is also in order because this is something that you've worked hard on. And this is something that has taken a long time to come to fruition. Pentacles are the slowest moving element in the tarot. And so this is something that's been a long time coming, a long time planting, a long time working at, and it's finally coming to fruition. So congratulations are also in order for you. All right. Enjoy it. Next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we've got for Libra. Oops. All right. We've got the Page of Pentacles. All right, Libra. Some of you this week, issues related to your worth and value are definitely going to be coming up in a major way. And it's almost like you guys are going to be experiencing a breakthrough of sorts. You're finally going to be able to see yourself in a light that shows you who you authentically are. And you're going to start to appreciate yourself more, or appreciate where you're at right now a bit more. I feel like this week is going to be very eye-opening for you in terms of what you want, what you don't want, what you're not going to tolerate anymore, and sort of putting yourself first. I really feel like there's this energy of prioritizing yourself because of an increase in your self-worth and your self-value. Okay, so I feel like this eclipse is really going to open your eyes to who you really are, and it's going to have you appreciating and valuing yourself a lot more. Okay, I think I had a card that fell. Oh, okay, I did, and I'm being told to take this. Right, so Libra, the Lovers card, relationships, your favorite topic. Yes, there's going to be a happening within a relationship that is not only going to show you who you are, but is going to require you to make a choice. And again, when I say relationships, I don't mean romantic necessarily. This could be any relationship, but there's going to be an eye-opening event that's going to require you to make a choice. And Spirit is like, you need to make the choice that uphold your self-esteem and your self-value. Don't lose yourself in the relationship. Don't put this relationship on a pedestal to your own detriment. Choose yourself first, and then everything else will fall into place. All right. Okay, that was Libra. So now we are up to Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio. You guys have two cards as well. You've got the Four of Cups. Oops. And you've got the Two of Wands. All right. So Scorpio, some of you have embarked on a certain path, right? There's something that you thought that you wanted, and so you started going in that direction, and you're quickly realizing that you are kind of bored. You're like, this isn't necessarily what it's cracked up to be. And I don't get the sense that you're trying to scrap this thing altogether. I feel like you just need to recalibrate. You kind of need to either shift your perspective or shift certain things in the 3D with respect to whatever this is. And I feel like Mercury retrograde is going to give you the perfect opportunity to do this. So I feel like you were really gung-ho about this. You were like, yes, I'm doing this. I want this. And then you got it and you're like, it's okay. It's meh. I feel like in order to reinvigorate that feeling of excitement, that feeling of desire, there are certain things we're going to have to do. And again, Mercury retrograde is going to be the perfect opportunity to redo those things. So you might want to take a look at where Taurus is in your chart. This will give you a clue as to what I am talking about. All right. But regardless, if that message resonates for you, I really think that it's time to just rethink things, replan things, move things around. And I feel like you're going to feel better about it. First, I'm hearing for someone, it could be like you changed the way your space looks. Like maybe you remodeled or you like redid your room and you're like, I don't know. I don't really like it like this. Like I thought it would look good this way and it doesn't. And Spirit is like, yeah, you just need to rearrange things again and it'll look and feel better. All right. All right. That was Scorpio. So now we are up to Sagittarius. Let's see what we've got for Sagittarius. Okay, Sag. We've got the Ace of Cups. All right. So this particular eclipse, it's almost like a great rainfall after a period of drought. So some of you have been a lot less emotionally fulfilled than you would like. Sort of along the same lines of Scorpio, but a little different. Like you guys have been feeling a void of emotions. There was an expectation you had of something or of someone, and it hasn't lived up to that. And so like you've been feeling I'm hearing unloved, unappreciated, taken for granted kind of a thing. And I feel like this particular eclipse is going to, again, be like a beautiful rainfall after a period of drought. Like there is going to be a certain situation that's really going to get everyone involved realizing what they have. And when you realize what you have, you can pour more love into it. You can pour more appreciation into it. And that's what's going to be happening. I feel like this is going to be an emotional eclipse for you, but in a good way. Like getting your emotions out there. I definitely feel like this has to do with a relationship. I feel like everyone's going to be pouring out their emotions and understanding and appreciating what the other person means to them or what this relationship means to them and actually expressing it. So if you've been feeling like you're unappreciated, you're not loved, you're not cared for, I feel like this eclipse is going to fill up your emotional cup, and I feel like it's going to be very beautiful for you. All right. Oh, and this card was peeking out already. Well, it was peeking out right here. So the Lover. So yeah, for you, Sag, I feel like this has to do with a romantic relationship or an intimate relationship. Okay. All right. So that was Sag. So now we are up to Capricorn. Let's see what we've got for Capricorn. All right, Capricorn, we've got the Two of Pentacles. So there's some juggling going on right here. I feel like you are juggling two things that are very valuable to you. Could be two people. It could be two situations, but whatever it is, both are valuable to you. And it's like you're trying to figure out which one wins. And Spirit is like, but why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't it be both? Why can't you figure out a way to make it all work? And you can. And I feel like Spirit is going to help you do that. But you have to get out of this mindset of either or. It's got to be and finding the proper balance. Balance is going to be key. Remember, this eclipse is going down in Aries, but the opposite sign of Aries is Libra. Libra is all about balance. I feel like balance is going to be a huge issue for you during this eclipse and going forward, because you feel like you're on a seesaw. You feel like it could be like home and work, and you feel like if you give attention to one, the other suffers, and vice versa. And Spirit is like, it doesn't have to be that way. If you meet in the middle, everybody wins. And so I feel like the issue of balance with respect to two things that are very important and valuable in your life is going to be the theme that plays out not only this week, but in the months to come. Okay. That was Capricorn. Next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we've got for Aquarius. Right, Aquarius, we've got the Page of Pentacles. Some of you are learning the price of freedom right now. And I don't mean that in a bad way. You're learning what it means to be really free, because as I was shuffling, I heard that song Freedom. I think it's by George Michael. You're learning the value of being free, and it feels good. You're learning what it means to be actually free, like the practicality of it. If you've ever been, like, for instance, if you've ever been in the hospital, or if you've ever been in jail or in prison or anything like that, it takes some time to adjust to being free, right? To being out of the hospital, to being healthy, to being literally free, right? And there's this appreciation that you have for it, but it's also this acclimation time, right? Where you're acclimating to this new environment, to this new mindset. And I feel like this is what's starting for you this week. You're learning the price of freedom. You're learning to appreciate it, and you're learning how to implement this new freedom of mind, this new freedom of thought, this new freedom of experience in your everyday life. So I feel like this week is going to start to feel liberating for you. It may feel a little wobbly too. You know, like when an animal, like a horse, if you've ever seen I don't know what they call baby horses. Not a pony. Is it called a pony? I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about, right? When a pony is born and it's figuring out how to stand up on its legs and it's a little wobbly, like that's what I'm seeing right now. It's that you're learning how to stand on your own 2 feet. You're learning what this freedom feels like, what it looks like, and how you're going to act in this new period of life. All right. So I feel like this is going to be a very liberating time for you. And then finally, we've got Pisces. Let's see what we've got for Pisces for this week. All right, Pisces, we've got the 6 of Pentacles. So I'm getting the sense that some of you are going to be receiving much needed assistance this week. It could be financial, but it could also be seeds. Okay, seeds that are going to bear fruit in the future. So it could come by way of advice. It could come by way of like therapy. I'm also hearing, but I get the sense that you're going to be helped. And it's going to help. It's going to help balance the scales. It's going to help you get to where you were before. I feel like some of you are feeling, I'm hearing down in the dumps. I'm hearing like you feel like you're behind, or like the scales have not been tipped in your favor. And I feel like there's going to be this energy of equalizing, of neutralizing by way of spirit. And it could be spirit directly, like giving you advice in a dream or something like that. Or it could be spirit being directed through someone else. So someone else is giving you money, someone else is giving you time, healing, whatever. But it's going to help even the scales so you can be back to where you were before. So again, Pisces, I feel like much needed help is coming in this week. And spirit is like, please be receptive to it. You may, like some of you are, I want you to look at this card. You see these people? You see how they're looking up at this guy? They're paying attention to where this assistance is coming from. Spirit is like, you're going to need to pick your head up, meaning don't be so consumed in what you're doing that you don't see the help when it comes to you. So stay alert. Be cognizant, be present so that you can recognize when help is coming your way, because it most definitely is this week. All right, my love. So that concludes this edition of the weekly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this week. All right. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, or if you would like to book a natal chart, a progressed natal chart consultation and report, all of those links are going to be in the description box below. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the best, not only for this week, but for this new era that we are entering. I wish you nothing but the absolute best. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing week, and I will see you next time. Take care.